Here comes the story of the hurricane, the man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world.
Yo, what's up guys? Wally here, and I just wanted to come on and explain why the podcast wasn't up this week. I'm sure you could kind of figure it out. Unfortunately, Irene hit us this week, and when something happens that magnitude, you figure out very quickly how little control you have over things. And unfortunately, some of our cast members lost power. I lost power for a very brief moment, but other than that, kind of came out of this relatively unscathed, and I consider myself extremely lucky because when you look at the devastation that was widespread across the country, you can see it right behind me. It was pretty massive, and my heart goes out to anyone, any of you guys, who experienced that, and I hope you guys are all right. I really would appreciate it if you would go ahead and leave a comment below, letting me know how you're doing, because even though I don't know you guys face to face, I still feel like I know you guys a little bit, and I want to make sure you guys are doing all right as well. So other than that, I wanted to come on here and kind of just share with you guys what has happened to me this week. There's been a couple interesting stories, but definitely in retrospect, like I said, I consider myself extremely lucky at the end of the day. First and foremost, if you were wondering how I put myself in the background like I did right there, I use something called a green screen. I'm sure you guys have heard of it before. They're used in movies all the time, and I'm going to use it on my channel, hopefully to spice up some of my weekly specials, and I'm also going to try to implement it into my gameplay as well, and you will see an example of that in the near future. But back on to what I came here to talk about, the hurricane, or my experiences with it. I probably shouldn't call it a hurricane, though, because it was actually only a tropical storm for us. We were really lucky. We were right on the outskirts of the storm, so we definitely didn't receive the full brunt of it, and it was nothing like you saw in the two clips that I had showed you earlier. But even though we didn't receive the full force of the storm, it certainly wasn't something to laugh at. We were still experiencing winds of, I believe, 30 to 40 miles per hour, and I had seen clips in the news of people getting tossed around, and debris was getting thrown all over the place. Actually, I remember going outside right after the first major gust had hit us, and looking into my backyard, and it looked almost as if a tornado had hit us. There was debris all over the place, tree limbs, branches, leaves. I remember shrubs had been ripped right out of the ground and kind of thrown, 5-10 feet away. So it definitely was still a pretty violent storm, and our yard was definitely a mess. Needless to say, I wasn't looking forward to the next morning to come. But unfortunately it did come, and I had to wake up and go ahead and start picking this stuff up. And normally picking up debris and stuff like this wouldn't be that difficult, but I actually have a pool, so the majority of this mess kind of centered right around the pool, and the pool was actually no longer a pool, it was a swamp. So it was around 8:30 when I had woke up to go clean this stuff up, and I don't know about you guys, but that early in the morning, I'm not at my brightest, so I actually decided it would be a good idea to use the skimmer to pick up some of the heavier debris, like the tree branches and limbs that sat at the bottom of the pool. I'm going to cut myself off for a second, though. I know Mark J has his Cujos, but I got something better. Let's go, Olive! Anyways, like I said, I was not at my brightest, and I decided to use the skimmer to pick up some of the heavier branches and limbs, and I actually went and bent it. But I didn't stop there. I really wanted to, prove that I was on top of my game, so I decided to try to bend the skimmer back, and in doing so, I actually snapped the handle off. So right off the bat in cleaning my pool, I kind of lost the only tool that I had to clean it, so I had to kind of devise a new plan on how I'd go about cleaning the pool. So I took one of those eco-friendly shopping bags. I'm not sure if you guys know what I'm talking about, but they're basically made out of felt. And I decided to scuba dive the rest of the debris out. So what I did was I had to jump in the water, which was pretty cold. I think it was in the low 60s, which at least fortunately woke me up. And I kind of had to skim along the bottom with the bag open and hope to get as many leaves as I could in there, and then I'd come up and dump it out and just rinse and repeat the process. So that made for a fun morning. Obviously, though, in retrospect to the other things that had happened, it wasn't a big deal. It was actually pretty comical. Later in the day, though, I was met by another surprise that most certainly was not that comical. My mother, being the CPA and financial advisor that she is, always looks over our financial statements, anything that we have, to make sure they're all in order. So she actually gave me a bank statement of mine because it seemed to be pretty strange, and she was right in doing so, because after I scanned it over, I had about $300 or $400 worth of purchases to Microsoft. And the day previous to that, I had seen my secondary account sign on Xbox. So immediately, I started to get the inkling that something was wrong. And I was right. As I called up Microsoft and went over my account, it turned out that my security question had been changed to Spanish, my email was different, and I had been hacked. Unfortunately, these guys, I think, purchased around like $700 worth of Microsoft points, which, I don't know, is pretty insane. I don't know what you would buy with that many Microsoft points, but they must just be having a field day. But anyways, yeah, it turned out that I was hacked, which is pretty surprising. I don't know. I've seen a lot of hacking, and I'm sure you guys witnessed it in the news as well, but I never thought that I would get hacked. It was just one of those things. I guess I thought I was invulnerable to it, but turns out that I'm not. The only good thing to come out of this, well, first, I'm not going to be liable for the charges, and secondarily, I beefed up all my security, so hopefully I will be safe in the future.